Hello everyone. Welcome to Programming Perception. I am Amit Kumar and this video series is BlueJ for 10th. You all might be wondering what is the use of class and object in programming and how to use it. Well, in this video we are going to discuss each and everything about classes and objects. So without wasting any time further, let's proceed. This is our second tutorial of BlueJ for 10th on classes and objects. We have already discussed on some elementary concepts of classes and objects in our previous series BlueJ for 9th. To see that specific tutorial, you can click on the top right corner or you can click on the link given in the description. I suggest you to go through that tutorial before moving on. Objects are real-life entities which have some characteristics and behavior. An object also have some state and a unique identity, where characteristics are the attributes that characterize the object. Behavior are different functionalities performed by the object. State is a specific value of characteristic or attribute, and identity is used to distinguish between objects of same type. So, objects are all those real-life entities on which we basically need to create a program. Well, two identical objects will always have unique identity. For example, two pencils of same company can have same characteristics like length, sharpness, etc. Same behavior of writing, breaking, etc. But they will always have different identities like their serial number or the batch in which they have been manufactured. Any human being can be a very good example of object, where eyes, ears, nose, legs, hands, etc. are characteristics of the object. Walking, talking, sleeping, etc. are behaviors performed by the object. Any change in attribute due to behavior is represented as the state of the object, and any unique characteristic of human being will be the identity of the object. Now let's see what is a class. It is a place where common characteristics and behaviors of objects are defined. Characteristics are represented as data members and variables. Behaviors are represented as member methods. State are represented as a certain value of the data member. And identity, any data member with unique value for the objects are actually the identity of the object. We will see how to create a class right now in this video tutorial itself. Well, all the human beings on earth are objects of human class. So if we all are objects, then definitely there would be some class for it which is definitely defined by the God. Now let's see what is the syntax for creating class. Well, I'm not sure whether God have followed the same syntax or not, but in programming you have to follow the same syntax. Here in the syntax, access specifier is mentioned over there, class along with the class name. Data members and member methods are written inside those curly braces. We have already seen some classes in our previous video series, and in this tutorial also we are going to create a class for us. For example, all human beings, as we said, all human beings are object of human class, And since all human beings are object of human class, to create any human being object, the first thing we need to do is to create a human class. Because until unless we define these characteristics, we cannot create an instance of it. These characteristics like integer type can be given for eyes, number of eyes, ears, number of ears. We can create walking and sleeping methods to perform the behavior. The values of these characteristics like eyes as 1 can be represented to represent open state of an eye, and value 0 provided to it can be represented to can be given to represent closed state of an eye, where DNA, fingerprint, retina scan can be treated as an identity of the human object. Now, whenever any human object is created, values of these characteristics are given to it. That object can call any specific behavior to perform it. And definitely with that behaviors, the state of an object can change. And as you all know, we do have a certain identity which distinguishes us from other human beings. But values of these data members are updated with help of methods or behaviors. That is, whenever an object shows any behavior, state of an object changes. Why? Because definitely the values of these characteristics are changes, and whenever characteristics value changes, state is also changed. So to change the state of an object needs to perform some behavior. Similarly, all the employees working in an organization are objects having common characteristics and behavior. So if we are thinking about any organization, you can think about your school or the college, any other organization. So in any organization, there are different employees working over there. All the employees are having some common characteristics, and they do have some common behaviors as well. So if we want to create a software for the organization, we have to work with employee object. And for that, we have to create all the common characteristics and behaviors of employees inside a class. So let's do it practically. For that, we will use BlueJ IDE. If you are new to BlueJ, you can click on the top right now to see our tutorial on BlueJ, or the link is given in the description. Now this is the BlueJ IDE on which we will work. As you can see, the project is BlueJ for 10th, and all the programs we will create inside it. The BlueJ IDE that I am using right now is of version 4.1.4, and this IDE is using Java version 1.8. So without wasting any time further, let's create a human class, or an employee class that we were talking about. So let's create an employee class. So definitely we will click on the new class button, and this dialog box, this small dialog box will appear where you have to mention the class name. Don't forget to click on this Java, and don't forget to click on this class as well, and then click on OK. As soon as you will do that, a small orange color rectangular box will appear. This is our class. As BlueJ IDE does most of the things for us, so when you will double click on it, you can find few codes written over there. Okay, fine, it's opened. So you can see few codes written over there. Now all these codes are not essential to perform the task, but to make it simpler for you, few of the codes I am deleting right now. These are the comments. We have already discussed about the comments in our previous series. Now except these comments, there are few more things inside it which I am not deleting right now. I am only going to delete these comments over there. Now, okay, now we are having very less. Okay, my mistake, I have deleted the code of the method also, only the comments we will delete. Fine, here also. Now you can see the syntax of this class. You can match it with the syntax I told you. Now this is nothing but an access specifier, and right now we are using public. We will talk about different access specifiers in the same video series, so just stick to it and you will come to know what are access specifiers and how they are used. If you want to remove this, you can definitely remove it. There will not be any issue right now. This class is a keyword which we always have to use whenever we are creating a class. And then after, this employee is nothing but an identifier, the same name which I provided in the new class dialog box. If you will enter this opening and closing brace of the class, which is highlighted right now, as you can see, okay, if you'll go inside this opening and closing brace, you can find a data member over there and private written in front of it. Again, this private is nothing but an access specifier, and until unless we complete that tutorial on access specifier, we will not use any access specifier with class name or with data member. Then after, there are two different member methods. In our previous video series, we have already mentioned you about member methods and how to create a member method. Of course, we are going to talk about it in this video series as well. Now you can see public access specifier is given over there, and of course you can delete it. It would not be an error, but to use this class it would be very difficult for us. So what I would suggest, whenever you are creating any method, do write public in front of it. Do write public as the first keyword of the statement. Now this is very special method which we will talk later, and this is actually known as constructor. So there is a whole tutorial itself on constructor in this video series, so that time we will talk about it. So let's delete it for a while. And then after, you can see one more method over there with written public access specifier, which I told you it should be there. Then int is written, which is nothing but a data type. But why it is written? It's actually a return type. And when we will talk about method in this series, we will talk about this return type. So to make this employee class simple, I'm going to delete each and everything from it. Now, what would be the different characteristics of an employee? An employee can have a name. An employee will have a salary, right? So we are not going to deal with all the characteristics. I'm going to keep it simple. So we will deal with two data members. First one as employee ID and the second one as salary. So you can see I have defined two characteristics over there. Now out of these two characteristics, one will be treated as what? Identity. Yes, one of them will be treated as identity. Identity should be unique with every object. Now we know there can be more than one employee having same salary, but all the employees working in the organization will have a different employee ID, a unique employee ID. That's why here this employee ID will be treated as an identity of the employee object. Now we will create few methods. As I told you, we have already discussed about methods in our previous video series. If you want to check it out, you can click on the top, or you can go to the description and click on the link. So I'm creating very simple method right now. Now what this method will do, so I'm writing public and void. And why I have written public and void, if you will click on that link, you will definitely come to know about it. The first method or the first behavior that I am creating is named accept. Now the second behavior which I will create is, let's see, we are going to increase the salary, so increment. And the third method or third behavior that I'm going to create is show detail. Now what I'm going to do in these behaviors, so whenever an employee object will perform accept behavior, then that time an ID and a salary will be provided. In this method, I'm just going to assign this ID value in the employee ID variable and this value sal in the salary. In the show detail method, I'm going to show the detail. That means I'm going to show the employee ID as well as the salary. So to println method I will use, and I will write employee ID, and then I will print the value of the employee ID which I have accepted. And again one more thing I will print over there, that is the salary. Now you can see I have declared this employee ID and salary inside this class, and I am using it inside different behaviors. How is it possible? The reason for this is these data members are declared inside the class, and hence they have the scope of this whole class. That means I can use this employee ID and salary variable inside this whole employee class anywhere inside any method. But I have created two more variables like int id and double sal. Now I declared them in the accept method, hence I cannot use them outside this accept method. And if I will try to do that, definitely it will be an error. Let's check it out. Let's try to print sal as I have done there, you can see. And now if I will compile it, it will show me an error, and what it will show, cannot find symbol variable sal, because sal is declared inside accept method, hence I cannot use sal in show detail. Scope of this sal variable belongs to the accept method only. So if I want to print the salary, what I need to print? Salary variable. Now in the increment method I will accept a double value as percentage, okay, and that much percentage will be incremented. So first of all I will calculate the amount that I have to increment, that will be percentage of the current salary. So percentage multiplied by the salary of the employee divided by 100. Both percentage and salary are double, so this will definitely give you a correct result. Now this much amount I have to increment, so salary will be incremented with AMT. If you remember, I have used this shorthand operator and I already explained it in the previous video series. Now our class is ready. Now this class is having 3 behaviors and 2 characteristics. Out of these 2 characteristics, employee ID is the what? Employee ID is the unique identity of any employee object. Now inside these methods I have performed some tasks, but whenever I will call any specific behavior, definitely the value of these characteristics will change. If I will call accept and I will pass some value to it, that value will be assigned to employee ID and salary. Well, I will call increment and pass some percentage to it, definitely that much amount will be updated, so that would be the new salary or the new state. Of course in show detail I am not modifying anything, I am just printing whatsoever the current value of the employee ID and salary. So our employee class is ready. You can compile it by pressing Ctrl K, or you can click on compile button given over here. Just close this class once it's done. If the class will be compiled, it will be shown as like this, otherwise some strikes will be there. Let me show you. Open the class again and just type anything, or just simply press 2 or 3 times this space. Now go back. Now you can see those stripes, right? It means that the class editing is over, but it is not compiled. To compile it, right click on it, click on compile. Okay, it's done. Now what I need to do, I need to create an object to run this. And why that so? Actually in my previous video series again I told you about API class. If you want to check it out, you can click on the top right corner, or you can click on the description given below. but I am just right clicking on it so that I can create an object of it. When you will right click on it, there will be a shortcut menu displayed to you. If it is visible right now, then it's okay. Give me a minute so that it can be visible to you. When you will right click on it, you will see this shortcut menu. Okay, and the first statement, that is new employee, you have to click on it so that you can create an object. So when you will click on new employee, here you can provide the name of the object. Here in this dialog box, you can provide the name of the object whatsoever you want to give. For example, right now the name of the object will be employee 1. If you want to change it, you can definitely change it. I am going to give it a very good name. Okay, you can see that, Amit, right? Okay. Once it's done, you can see a small red color rectangle right on the left bottom corner. This is nothing but an object, and you can see the object name is also displayed over there. Now by right clicking on it, you can call any of the behaviors, right? 3 behaviors are given over there. Now if I will call the show detail, I will get an output as 0 and 0.0. Why that so? Because I haven't called the accept method. It's very simple. So when I will call the accept method or the accept behavior, then because accept method was accepting these 2 values, when I will call it, I have to specify these 2 values. Okay, let's suppose ID is 1104, and let's suppose salary is right now 25,000. Okay, you can see these values I am passing, and as soon as I will click on OK, the value of this ID will go to employee ID, the value of this sal will go to the salary variable. And if you want to see, you can right click and click on show detail, and this time you can see the employee ID is there along with the salary. Now if I will call this increment method and I pass 10 over there, so that will be 10% increment. And now if I will right click on it and click on show detail, you can see salary is being incremented. 10% of 25,000, that is 2,500, is added to the salary, and the new salary is 27,500. You can create as many objects as you want. Now each and every object will have the same characteristics, right? Will have the same behavior, but we will provide a different identity to it, that is a different employee ID to it, so that I can easily recognize them. So let's provide some value 1105. Let's see 27,000. Let's go with the next one and call the accept again. I am only calling accept method right now. So 1107 and salary 30,000. And the last one 1110 and salary let's suppose 12,000. Now if you click on the show detail method of different object, definitely you will get different employee ID over there. Now I have provided different salary, but of course salary can be same. Well, this is your program. Even you can provide same ID, it will work. It's not like if you will provide same ID, it won't work. But what I want, employee ID should be unique, so definitely I will not provide same employee ID to 2 different employees. So different employee ID each object is having. So there can be different objects of the same class. They can have same characteristics and behavior, but definitely they will have a unique identity. So we have seen, if we are working for any organization or if we are creating software for any customer, the first thing to decide is about the objects. What are the various objects on which we have to work in the software? And then once the object is decided, we will think about various characteristics and behavior of it. And once that is done, we will be ready to create a class of it. And once class is ready, we can definitely create an object of it. Now what's the benefit of taking such a lengthy path? The only benefit, actually there are plenty of benefits, but right now I can explain only one. The only benefit right now we are getting is reusability. Once the code is ready, we can reuse it as many times as we want. As you have seen, I have created 4 different objects. and I was performing tasks, or I was calling behaviors of each and every one of them, and for that I have to create class only once. So actually it increases reusability. Of course it maintains a standard also, but few of the things you will understand later on. Just stick to the series and you will come to know about it. Now object is an instance of a class. Why it is said so? Because class is just a mere definition. Class is just a simple definition of an object which has no physical existence on its own. Whereas memory space is occupied for the definition as soon as object is created. So if you have created different data members inside a class, no space in memory is taken for those data members. But as soon as you create an object of the class, some space in memory is taken for all those data members. For example, all human beings are physically existing, and hence we can touch and we can feel any one of us. But the definition of human being, that is a human class, cannot be touched. You cannot touch the definition of human class. Whenever you are touching your friend or anyone else, you are actually touching the object of human class. So object have physical existence, classes don't have that, and hence object is nothing but an instance of a class. Now what is the syntax to declare an object? You have to specify the class name, space, you have to specify the object name. Now wait, some of you who were actually with me throughout BlueJ for 9th, they might be thinking that you have told something else in BlueJ for 9, the syntax was bit lengthier, and now you are making it very short. Were you telling wrong that time, or were you telling wrong this time? Actually that time also I was right, this time also I am right. How is it possible? Because I told you it is syntax to declare an object. There is one more syntax, and that syntax is to instantiate an object. Now what's the difference between declaration and instantiation? Declaration is announcing to the program that what is the name of the object that you are going to use. And if you have declared an object, with that declaration no space is taken in the memory. To take any space for the object in the memory, you have to instantiate it. Right now I have created an object by right clicking and then clicking on some name and all that. I have not written such a code over there. Do you remember? Okay, fine. So if I am not creating classes and objects via code, I don't need to bother about declaration and instantiation. But if I am creating object of a class with code, definitely there is a lot of difference in declaration and instantiation. Now difference between object declaration and instantiation we have to see with an example program. So let's get back to our BlueJ, and this time I will not create any object of this class like this. So I am recompiling it, and when I will recompile it, these all objects will be gone. Okay. Now I will create one more class, and inside that class I will create an object of this class. This is not a normal program, because the first program that I have created is an API class. Now I am going to create an application program. If you want to know what's the difference between an API class and an application program, again there is a tutorial available in the BlueJ for 9 series. Go through it. The link is given in the description, and then you will understand what's the difference between an API class and an application program. So right now I am creating an application program, and the name of the program I will give employee use, or okay, let it be employee use. Java should be clicked, class should be clicked, and click on OK. So class is ready. Double click it, and what I usually do in most of my classes is I press Ctrl A, select all, and delete. So I love to write from the scratch. It's up to you. If you want to delete some unnecessary codes and want BlueJ to help you out, you can definitely take that help. Because I'm creating an API class, there should be public static void main in this program. and with the same syntax, of course. One of my students asked me, sir, I am not following the syntax, still I am able to execute the program as an application program. Actually, you are not. The reason is BlueJ is supporting such interface. That's why you feel like if I am not creating public static void main and I am creating any method with any other syntax but static is there, and still I am creating an API class, so actually you are thinking wrong. That's not an API, sorry, I'm creating an application program, so that's not an application program. It's an API class, because in normal Java environment you cannot run it. These are only able to run in the BlueJ environment itself. Now I'm going with the syntax. Now to create an object of employee, I have to give the class name. So class name, I have to give it a, give an object name. Again, that wonderful name I'm giving over there. Okay, so I have declared the class object. That's fine. Now if I want to call any method like accept method, or let it be display show detail method. Sorry, it's not display, it's show detail. So if I want to call show detail method, I will give the object name, dot operator, and show detail. Why I'm using the dot operator, I explained it already, don't worry about it. But see, I'm just telling you in short. Whenever I want to call any member of a class through object, I take help, or we take help of this dot operator. How? Object name dot member name. Very simple. Let's compile it. Can you see an error? Okay, you can't. Just take the mouse over there. Okay. Variable Amit might not have been initialized. Now I have declared only, as I told you. And after declaration, I want to use the method, and I am not able to do that. The reason is declaration only announces the name of the object, but no memory space is taken for it. But if I will take any memory space, like object name is equals to new, that is the keyword, and the class name, actually it's not just simple class name, it's a constructor, but we will study constructor later on. Now if I will compile it, definitely there won't be any error. Okay, if I will run this employee use, okay, this arrow indicates that employee object is in employee use class. If I will right click on it, you will see this shortcut menu. This time I would not click on the new employee use. In fact, I will click on this void main to run this as an application program. So right click on the void main. This dialog box appears and it tells us that we are calling the main method, as you can see, right? So click on OK and you will get 0 0, and you already know why you are getting 0 0, because you haven't called the accept method. So call the accept method first, provide some value to it. You can take this value with help of scanner from the user. I'm just simply providing a value to it, and definitely a salary. Let it be 2,50,000. Who cares? No one needs to pay for it, right? So let it be 2,50,000 or 2 crore. Let it be. So now you can run, and you can see the value. Here it is. So I hope you understood the difference between declaration and instantiation. Okay. Hence, class is an object factory. As once a class is created, we can create as many objects of it, as many objects as we want, where class acts as blueprint of an object. You have seen that I can create many objects, or you also can create. It's not like only I can create. We can create many objects of a class, and once a class is ready, it's up to us how many objects we need, we can create from it. So that's why class is an object factory. As in a factory, products are created according to an already created blueprint or format. So does an object is created according to blueprint, that is nothing but a class. So class is nothing but an object factory. Class is also known as composite data type. Now why class is known as composite data type? Composite data type means the data type which is created with help of primitive data types. So class is a composite data type as it is created with help of primitive data type. If you will go back to our code, okay, let's see the employee class, because there we have created a class. Okay, so you can see we have taken help of two primitive data type. So that's why class is what? A composite data type. To understand the concept clearly, now let's see some differences between primitive and composite data type. Primitive data type takes space, of course, in memory. So primitive data type takes space as soon as the declaration statement is executed. So as soon as a declaration statement is executed, that specific statement where you have declared the variable name and data type, once that statement is executed, it takes space in memory. Whereas for composite data types, programmers have to allocate space in memory using new keyword. So see, we have not created any space for this employee ID and salary variable. No new keyword is used. As soon as I declared and as soon as this statement is executed, some space will be taken in the memory. But to create an space for employee object, we have to use this new keyword, and if we won't use it, object will not be instantiated. There will be no space in memory for the object. So primitive data type takes space by themselves. How? As soon as the declaration statement is executed. But for composite data type, programmer have to take space with help of new keyword. Space allocated by primitive data type or space allocated to primitive data type are fixed. It's already decided which data type will take how much space. Whereas composite data type have no fixed space. As you know, int, float, double, they have some fixed space with them. As if you create any variable of those data types, we already know how much space they will take. But amount of space for an object depends on the number of attributes in it. So as many attributes you will create in it, as much amount of space it will take. Primitive data types are predefined. You already know that. It's already defined. It's already given by the Java. Whereas composite data types are user defined. So user means programmer here. So we as a programmer define any composite data type. It is not predefined. Now that marks the end of this video tutorial. In this tutorial we have discussed following topics: objects, classes, syntax of creating class, syntax of creating object, some real life examples of them, some programs to explain them, object declaration and instantiation, class as an object factory, objects as an instance of a class, and primitive and composite data type. If you are new to our channel, please subscribe it and hit the bell icon. And don't forget to like and share the video. Hope to meet you in the next video tutorial. Till then, thank you and happy programming.